we go hands-on with the brand new Sony Xperia Z5 as well as the Xperia Z5 Compact and Xperia Z5 Premium. Sony returned to the IFA show in Berlin once again inside the usual September slot, this time with the Xperia Z5 series of smartphones. This includes a new flagship, the Sony Xperia Z5, plus a smaller Sony Xperia Z5 Compact, and a larger football Sony Xperia Z5 Premium with the world's first 4K resolution mobile display. As with previous Sony Xperia series, all three devices broadly share the same design language. This series once again sees the return of the firm's on-balance design, and while on the whole it remains very similar to previous model, there are a few tweaks here and there worth mentioning, alongside the expected upgrades in hardware, features, and built-in capabilities. For this hands-on we're going to go into the main Xperia Z5 flagship in detail, and then elaborate on a few of the specific differences for the Xperia Z5 Compact and Xperia Z5 Premium. Sony describes its on-balance design as minimalist, which I think is fairly spot on really. Again, it's pretty much a return of the glass front and back surrounded by a narrow aluminium frame. The changes to the design are a fairly light touch, things like the slightly rounded edges, and how everything has been made to fit more flush and looks more seamless. On top of that you have things like the etched details such as the Xperia logo, and I really rather like the frosted glass. Overall this is a very stylish and elegant piece of kit, and the color choices of black, white, green, or gold are also quite compelling. The phone is fairly lightweight in the hand, but is not very thin, however, that does make it easier to grip the more substantial edges. The materials, fit, and finish give a quality feel in the hand and everything seems quite robust. As with previous Xperia flagships, the Xperia Z5 is waterproofed and can be submerged in over a meter of water. While Sony's existing camera tech offered fantastic performance as it was, the company decided to put a lot of effort into developing the Xperia Z5's imaging capabilities even further. These are some of the biggest changes aboard the new model. There's an entirely new 23MP wide 1/2.3-inch Sony sensor with a 6-element lens, designed to offer improved performance in several key areas. It allows for higher resolution images and video, better low light capture, and a 5x clear image lossless zoom. It also features embedded phase detection pixels and hybrid autofocus, which Sony says gives the world's fastest autofocus and capture at 0.03 seconds. Lastly, there's a closed-loop actuator which is designed to give excellent digital stabilization. Sony even demonstrated this on video with the Xperia Z5 mounted on a bike's handlebars, and it offered much smoother video capture than even optical image stabilization. This is all paired with a completely new software package. But during our brief hands-on we were not able to test the camera, so we will investigate this in our full review. In the meantime, Sony has provided some sample images showing what can allegedly be caught using the phone's camera. These are claimed to be raw, unedited shots, but we'll let you be the judge. Sony's display tech has become quite refined over the years, being a high-end LCD equivalent to Samsung's Super AMOLED. The firm's Bravia engine and other tweaks mean you get excellent color vibrancy, contrast and brightness. Sharpness is great too, although Sony has chosen to stick with a full HD 1080p resolution for the flagship, presumably to keep the battery in check while offering decent clarity. It's a 5.2-inch screen with a pixel density of 423 ppi. Like many contemporary devices, the Xperia Z5 remains on Qualcomm's existing 64-bit Snapdragon 810 octa-core processor technology, which is the same chip found in the previous gen of Xperia handsets and in many other rival smartphones. Here it has 3GB of RAM and runs Android Lollipop with Sony's own UI on top. Of course, this is not a bad processor by any means, but firstly you shouldn't expect big performance gains over what's already available, and you can probably expect it to be outmatched by not only the next crop of kit running the forthcoming Snapdragon 820, but also Apple's next-gen batch of Infinix and even Samsung's existing Exynos 7420 running inside the Galaxy S6 and its stablemates. That said, outmatched is sort of relative, as has been the case for a while now. These high-end processors all offer so much power that they'll run the modern, optimized Android environment so smoothly you might be hard-pressed to notice a difference in general operation. That's certainly true of our short hands-on time with the Xperia Z5, as it appeared to offer a similar experience to most any other Android flagship I have recently used. Of course, a longer period of testing with more intensive activities will be more telling for a full review, but in the meantime it certainly looks promising. Sony's software overlay remains disappointingly similar to what's come before and quite far removed from the stock Android experience. It runs fine, but it's very much a love it or hate it deal in terms of aesthetics. The rest of the hardware line-up includes 32 GB of onboard storage, the 2900 mAh battery cell which Sony promises will give 2-day battery life, and microSD support for cards up to 200 GB. The battery also supports quick charging but not wireless and can give 5.5 hours from a 10-minute charge. Lastly, there's a fingerprint scanner embedded under the power key. Sony has designed this to offer the most seamless operation possible. This is another feature that was demonstrated by a Sony rep but we were unable to try ourselves. However, it did appear to function very rapidly. The idea is that you don't even need to think about it. Sony has positioned the power key on the right-hand edge of the device where it should be easily accessible by either a thumb or forefinger. You can store multiple fingerprints, so if you do both thumbs and forefingers you can simply pick up the phone, tap the power key and never have to think about unlocking your device. Sony didn't mention anything to do with mobile payment features during the presentation. With both the Xperia Z5 Compact and Xperia Z5 Premium, the overall package is very similar to the Xperia Z5 flagship, but there are one or two key differences. The Xperia Z5 Compact is, as the name implies, a smaller device with a 4.6-inch display at a slightly lower 720p resolution. It also has a smaller 700 mAh battery cell, although Sony says this will not change the battery life. Additionally, while the processor is the same Snapdragon 810, the Xperia Z5 Compact uses 2 GB of RAM instead of the full 3 GB of the flagship. The other differences are largely cosmetic. It features a fully opaque back panel and is available in either coral pink or yellow, as well as the standard black or white. On the other end of the scale there's the Xperia Z5 Premium, which is a larger 5.5-inch bolt. The specs are more or less identical to the Xperia Z5 flagship, including the processor and 3 GB RAM, except for a larger 430 mAh battery cell and the first 4K resolution display on a mobile device. Yes, this phone packs in a pixel density of over 800 ppi for some pretty remarkable visual quality. Despite this display, Sony still says you'll get 2-day battery life. We shall see! Again. There are some design differences as the Xperia Z5 Premium has a mirror finish to the glass backing in either chrome, gold, or black. We did notice this shows up fingerprints like crazy though.